Dubai is one of the number one countries in the world to run the Airbnb business. Recently, we've had a lot of investors coming in from Europe, UK, US, looking at this commercial section of real estate. And one of the biggest drawbacks or issues or complaints I face from investors is that a lot of so-called gurus talk about Airbnb, but they don't give the actual cost. Like you can come out and say, oh, you make 17%, but you don't discuss about service charges, Airbnb operating costs. So today's video, we're going to take it, let's say, one understanding unit by unit. I want to take this series all the way up to, okay, how do you run a hotel or an entire building? How does that work? But we're going to understand where do we target, which locations are lucrative for an Airbnb model, whether it's ROI and then when it's ROE, which operators or which strategy can you use to run an Airbnb business? Hi, Asad.
Hello, how are you?
We meet again.
We meet again.
We
should keep on meeting.
Yes. I want you to run your experience that you had from the investors that you showed, both Dubai Marina, downtown, pros and cons, and which areas you recommend. So over to you.
As far as Airbnb is concerned, the top area at the moment it's always going to be Palm. So Palm is the area where actually tourists come in, and that's the first place they want to be at.
Okay.
And mostly 80% of tourists coming in, they prefer staying in Palm, followed by somewhere near Burj Khalifa, somewhere in Marina again.
Right.
However, you've also witnessed that there has been a surge in demand at Creek Harbor as well, JVC as well. There are so many short-term rentals in JVC now, Furjan, Creek Harbor as well.
Everywhere.
But preferred is always, I would say, Palm.
You know, I have a different opinion over here. My opinion is that, so this is actually an investor pointed out for me. So we were looking at three locations: downtown, Dubai Marina, and Palm.
Yeah.
I had a perspective, we had a shared perspective that in downtown, you get an all around the year business. One, because of course, Dubai Mall is probably, I don't know, last 21 million visitors or something. It was, the number was, it's always crazy. Two, because you have the DIFC district right next door. So on maybe whether season is high or low, for example, in Palm, Marina, of course, during the good seasons, like especially now, the season's fantastic. The weather is fantastic. When the weather is great, of course, the rates are really high. But what if during low seasons like Ramadan or let's say summers, but the businessmen have to operate, right? That's why we always felt like there is an all-round demand for the downtown region in comparison. But so today, I want to ask you something else. In terms of, so you had a client, who was looking for somewhere around a million, 1.5.
Well, they started from 1.5, then we went up to 2 million as well.
$200,000, $250,000. Okay. What did you see? For $250,000?
There are a lot of options, I would say. It also depends upon what is your goal, what is your objective. Like you said, there needs to be an all-around business. That usually happens in downtown and I would say Business Bay area. Even when there is hot summers, people are still coming in and staying at downtown and Business Bay. Whereas compared to locations such as Marina, JBR, and Palm, the occupancy and the average per day rate, it drops from, let's say, from 80% way down to 45%. So something that is, let's say, on rent for a day for 16,000 dirhams, that goes completely down to 5,000 to 6,000 dirhams.
But this in this $250,000 mark, which buildings did you see in Dubai? I just want them to understand which buildings you saw in Dubai Marina.
Pinnacle was one of them. Torch Tower. We also went to Studio One, but that's the other side. That is by again the first group. And Elite was very good because of the views, I would say. So when somebody is buying, I would say when an investor is buying something to put on Airbnb, the best thing they're looking for is location, followed by the view, because that is what's going to make them the ROI in the end.
So this was an interesting point. I wanted Asad to come to this point where see, for example, the Torch. Okay, so the Torch and Studio One are by very prominent developers called Select. Now, Select is doing phenomenally well in the market. I think one of the best towers in Dubai Marina Gate, is by Select. And in the Business Bay area, they're developing this beautiful project called the Peninsula.
Yeah.
Lovely developer. So you've got Marina Gate, Jumeirah living on the Marina Walk. Okay, and 2 steps behind, there's the Torch. Now, it's famous for the wrong reasons. Of course, it's been torched twice. But in Marina Gate, a one-bed is selling at 2.5 to 3.5 million dirhams. We found beautiful units in the Torch. How much was it for? The upgraded unit you sent me, how much was it for? 2 million?
No. It was for 1.7. We could have closed it on 1.6 as well.
The 2-bed?
The 2-bed. Fully upgraded unit, and that was really amazing.
It was beautiful, right? Yeah. So now this is the catch. Okay, you can get a beautiful unit in an older building where your ROI can be high, but what are your possibilities of liquidating that asset? Because I've always explained to investors that a real estate asset should be liquid. Like I was made this video yesterday saying that, okay, wow, this is launched the other day where there's a tower in Business Bay, 3,000 apartments. Okay, 50% are sold on day one. So much of hue and cry. We're like, oh wow, 50% sold. And I'm like, who are these investors? You know, I mean, would you like to live in a building where there are 3,000 apartments?
I mean, I'm sorry. I would like to give example of Benghazi here as well. They follow the same thing, same like they come up with 600 units in a building.
Yeah.
But you see, if I buy something, 600 other people have the same thing. So what value does it create for me?
Correct.
That is exactly what the investors need to see. Remember, we were talking about scarcity. That has the value.
Yes.
So something that is in demand, something that is scarce is what actually creates value.
Yeah. So that's what I said. See, I guess the Torch can give us really good ROI, but then when it comes to liquidating the asset,
it's a bit difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Not really difficult, I would say. I would like to rephrase my words.
How much time span do you think you can sell a property like that?
2 to 3 months. It does take around like that.
See, but let's suppose an investor bought it at 1.6 million. Okay. Phenomenal ROI. I mean, we start like really focusing on Airbnb it, and we give it to a very good operator. We'll shortly come into which operator. But technically, my investor would want to sell it at a profit if he ever does sell it. Or let's suppose he recovers somewhere around, on an average, 18 to 20,000 dirhams a month. Okay, let's suppose he recovers. So that means in a year we make around 240,000 dirhams. He makes revenue. 2 years down the lane, he's made 400,000 dirhams profit. At what price do you think we can sell it at?
The appreciation in Marina, right? It's not as it used to be.
Okay.
It still is there.
Okay.
However, many other areas have taken that appreciation that I would like to mention Furjan, I would like to mention JVC, because those are areas, investment areas, I would say, short-term investments. When we're talking about Airbnb. So it would take a bit longer for an investor who buys at the Torch. It would take him longer to sell, but it's only for the rental perspective, or I would say another stream of income, and that's about it.
JVC, I feel like the supply, I mean, just this year till now, I think there have been 30,000 units sold. Like if you look at the area that has sold most number of apartments, probably JVC.
That's JVC. That's always JVC.
I love Furjan as a location, but then, so 2 years ago, I was speaking, so one of these projects I spoke about, it's called Avenue 4.
Amazing. I spoke to a client, and Avenue is by Nabni Developments.
Yes.
Amazing developers. I was speaking to him today, and I told him not to sell because he should hold that because it's like gold in his hand.
He bought it at 850,000 dirhams. But today, Avenue 7, a one bed is selling at 1.3 million dirhams. Yesterday, I was shocked hearing the price of Silicon Oasis Ellington is selling a one bed at 1.3 to 1.4 million dirhams. I don't know where the prices are heading. Okay. Now, for Airbnb, a place, for example, even in downtown, I think it's the same policy as Dubai Marina. In the top-notch buildings, you're not going to get a unit that's going to give you ROI or ROE. It's an end-user product.
Exactly.
And in the lower tier of a high-tier location, you can get a unit, but then if you get the unit, you'll get high ROI, but then liquidating the asset could get challenging.
Exactly.
That's where I come to yet again your favorite destination.
My favorite destination for Airbnb investments. I mean, if it's only about investments and the goal and the objective is rental income, I would suggest the apartments in Palms, because they still have a view. They still, attract a lot of Western tourists.
Which building in the Palm?
I would say I love Azure Residences.
But Azure, one bed will go at what price?
One bed around 2.3, 2.4.
How will you liquidate a one bed at 2.3, 2.4?
As I told you earlier, since we're discussing Airbnb only, the liquidation would take longer.
Right.
Because you see, if somebody's buying with the mindset that they're going to flip the unit over after 2 years and probably earn 20%, 22%, on top, it would be a bit difficult. You may end up probably selling it at 8 to 10%. That's
why I want to discuss Dubai Creek Harbour. Now, see, Dubai Creek Harbour, I feel like the prices are nominal. You have a clear chance at appreciation. Your Airbnb may not be at the peak like downtown.
No, it is very much. There is 69% occupancy in
69%.
Yes, 69% occupancy. I've checked the data today. 69 to 70% occupancy, and the average revenue a person is making 174,000 dirhams per year. So there's a lot of demand of Airbnb in Creek Harbour.
174, but average in terms for a one bed or like?
Now I'm talking about
average.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, average in general.
Taking the holistic picture.
Okay.
So that would include 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds as well.
Okay.
But the top, the most wanted, the highest in demand are 2 beds.
Okay. And so once again, I'm just gonna quickly for the viewers. So can we go one by one? Like, okay, 1 bed. What price do you think we can buy it in, and the sort of occupancy? The value we can achieve?
You see, I love Creek Harbour because the value, if you want to do Airbnb, I believe Creek Harbour is the best place right now, because not only it would give you rental income, it will also be giving you appreciation.
Correct.
And that would be not less than 6%. So it will be somewhere between 6 to 8%. They can even go to 10%, 13%, depending upon building to building.
Okay. Because
the average appreciation year on year, if we look at numbers, it's around 10 to 15%, somewhere between that.
So you're talking about the ROI 6 to 8% or the appreciation?
Appreciation.
Oh, that's good.
So here you're getting your rental income as well.
Okay.
You're also getting a value for money because you've invested in something. You would like to sell it after 2-3 years as well.
Correct.
So at least you'll be able to send your asset liquidated for about over 22%.
And then see, one more area I wanted to discuss, which a lot of people are asking me is so like Furjan, I agree, is a great location. Jaddaf, what are your thoughts on Jaddaf? Because
Jaddaf is an amazing area. It actually complements not only the downtown business bay, but it is also complementing Festival City and Creek Harbour as well. People are not looking at Jaddaf at the moment.
Correct.
But you see, the average per square feet prices are coming over 2,200 per square feet. So now there are still units in secondary available that have been handed over a year or 2 years back. I would suggest if somebody wants to go for a 1 BHK or 2 BHK, they would go for Jaddaf, because that area is going to be the central part and it is going to be complementing downtown because it's only 7 minutes away from Business Bay.
But what price can you get something in Jaddaf?
2 bed you can easily get for 1.8, and that too by Aqua Developments, very good project, and I've seen it personally by myself. So 1.8, 2 million you can get a 1.8 to 2.1 you can easily get a 2-bedroom over there.
What view?
Burj Khalifa view. I am not joking, seriously. More because
like
there's nothing
view.
in between.
Like a skyline
There's
view.
nothing in between.
But then will it face the creek also?
There are creek-facing units over there, buildings as well. Like I would like to mention Azizi and Binghati as well. And there is Al Walid Gardens, Al Walid Gardens 2, Sol 19. All these are there, but they're creek view. They have a view towards the Creek Harbour and Canal view as well.
Correct.
But there are many units over there. There is nothing in between. You are even standing on the 4th floor. You have Burj Khalifa view.
See, but I have a problem with a few locations. Yeah. Okay. Let's say like a Shobha Heartland.
Yeah.
Jaddaf. What's common amongst, let's say, Shobha Heartland, Jaddaf, Azizi Riviera, what's common amongst these are that on paper, logically, it's a great location. It's 7 minutes away. But realistically, I feel like the rents or the Airbnb the market hasn't caught up. Like, for example, see, realistically, JVC, the rental market works, right? I don't have to create demand. It exists. Dubai Marina, Business Bay, downtown, the demand exists. I don't have to, like, see, for example, if I buy a property today in Jadaf, okay, and I put a listing on Airbnb, it's not like it's the hot property where it's going to get rented out immediately. It'll take some time. It will rent out. It will create revenue. But this is my perspective about these locations where I feel like the rental market hasn't climbed as much as it should have climbed.
I would not agree with that because let's say a good 1 bedroom in Jadaf is for a size for over 800 per square feet.
Okay.
And if you see the renewals is something different, but if you see the current rentals, they're still standing at 70 to 80,000 per year. So if you put those units on Airbnb, they're always definitely going to do more. Plus, Jadaf is developing right now. Nobody's looking at it. They've also come up with a new name for Jadaf is Dubai Healthcare City Phase 2. So Jadaf is now Dubai Healthcare City Phase 2, where that actually houses the Dubai Health Authority's headquarters as well. You've got police headquarters over there as well. That is an absolutely developing area. So you see, comparing that with JVC has had its time. I would say it's time for people to liquidate their assets from JVC and invest elsewhere. A place like Jadaf, because it is growing and it is growing every week, every month.
Okay, now Jadaf, you mentioned 1 bed you can rent between 70 and 80,000. But what price can we buy it at?
1 bed, 1.2.
So looking at around 6%, 6.5%.
You can buy the older units still for somewhere close to 900,000. So let's suppose if we go for older units that have the bigger square feet, let's suppose 1,000 square feet. And if you buy something for 1,000 square feet, that is for 850, 900,000. And if you rent it at 80,000, 75,000, I think that's a great ROI. Whether you rent it yearly or whether you Airbnb it.
Okay, again, question for you. I don't know how the community of today also if you go to Jadaf, it's just sand, building, building. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I go into a building like, let's say, Art Pier. There's a very Manazil. There's a building called Manazil. It's beautiful, okay? It's like very, very Madina Jumeirah vibes, and you go there. It's
most of the buildings are brown.
Very nice, okay? But again, it's just sand, building, metro. Okay. Why wouldn't I put that money into Creek Harbour? It's a beautiful community and it's 100% sure shot. There's no chance of risk because that Emaar is investing. Emaar builds the best communities in the market.
Absolutely.
Right? They are going to build a phenomenal community. See, because I don't like risk. I try to minimize risk. See, and every time, when I'm working for an investor, I try to think as if I'm putting my own money in. So if I put my money in, let's put it this way. If I give you 1 million dirhams, 1.5 million dirhams, where would you put your money?
I would go for a building called Summer at Creek Beach, lagoon facing, because I could probably still have it for 1.5.
See? Easy.
Because I'm looking at the longer term gain as well.
Easy, exactly. So now if I give you 2.5 million dirhams, where will you invest?
Again, Creek Harbour. That's the future.
So this is what people want to know, right? Because there's so much of misguiding. Like every time there's an exciting launch, right? People are running towards the launch, but nobody's studying the market. Recently, you told me about this building that's going to get handed over in Creek Harbour near the address.
Oh, we're talking about Island Park.
Yes, I don't think a lot of people know about this.
Yeah, Island Park 1, Island Park 2.
Right.
And that building has been gaining an appreciation of more than 13% compared to the whole Creek Harbour.
Okay.
There are still units available over there. And you know what? I have a whole building over there.
A whole building for sale.
A whole building for sale.
Now, I want you to hold the whole building because I think that we're going to talk about. We're going to make a series called Commercial Real Estate. Because, now in 2013, I used to do commercial real estate where we dealt with hotels, buildings, plots. But the documentation was so, legalities was so intense, I took a back step. But now there are so many hedge funds, family offices, REITs. Absolutely. So coming into the market where, we're going to dive a little deeper into commercial real estate where we'll discuss about the whole building. About this island park, how much is a one bed selling in Island Park?
So a one bed is costing around, the asking price at the moment is 1.6 somewhere.
1.6 is fair?
Yeah, and you can still probably, there must be somebody who would be willing to sell it for 1.5 even, and 2 beds 2.2 and 3 beds 3.3 and above.
So you're telling
Park, yeah.
So you're telling me there's a okay, now this is, guys, very careful, okay. So there is a building, handover is in between Feb and April 2025 next year. That means within the next 4 to 6 months. If you're looking to start an Airbnb business or move to Dubai, one bed's at what, 1.6?
Yeah, 1.6.
2 beds at 2.2?
Starting 2.2, yeah, asking.
And 3 beds?
3.3. And then obviously depending upon the layout.
And that's it, because it's bang in front of the address.
And there is an
It's on the
amazing
park.
view as well from there. At the back side, you get the park views, and the front side, you get the whole creek view, because there's only...
That entire bridge, it's right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is amazing.
Both views.
And can we do finance on this?
A mortgage, it depends.
Okay.
Because the building needs to be completely 100% complete.
Okay.
The mega structure I'm talking about, the grey structure.
Okay.
If that is complete, and if the 50% rest is left, I'm talking about the finishings, the interiors, then you can still mortgage it. And it depends from bank to bank.
Oh, this is amazing. I think that part
mortgages we can cover
probably
sometime
sort
later.
out.
Yeah.
I guess we'll check about that.
Yeah.
If we can sort out the finance situation of this, then I think that would be. See, what I like about Creek Harbor, it's safe. You can do an Airbnb, and your Airbnb keeps growing. The values will grow each year. You'll find like a steady increase in your Airbnb rentals. With the mature markets, no doubt there's an existing market. I love that there's an existing market and you don't have to create demand. I have problems with locations where I have to create demand. With these locations, there is a demand. It's a beautiful community. But both the value of your property and your Airbnb values will constantly increase.
Yeah.
That is really good. Now quickly on the costs. Service charges generally for an apartment, what are the service charges?
21 dirhams per square feet plus minus, I would say. Depends upon, again, building upon building as well.
So we're looking at something for a one bed somewhere around 18,000 dirhams a year.
Yeah.
2 beds would be somewhere around another 25,000 dirhams a year.
Yep.
And 3 beds around 27,000,
Yeah.
28,000 dirhams a year. So that will go down. And see, operator fees, it does vary. But one of the biggest companies, I've done a lot of business with Frank Porter. There are other good companies as well, but I normally prefer using British companies. I think they just do a really good job.
Yeah, luxury home rentals. We've got Bertie's. We've got a very new company called B&B Me as well.
Okay.
People should, check them out as well.
It's good.
Yeah,
They've got high reviews.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long, I don't. But do you know what their charges are like?
They actually depend because you see, they take a certain percentage from
Correct.
your annual revenue.
Correct.
Some start from 10%. Average is 15%.
15%.
But then they're giving different things like account management services. They've got guest services, hospitality services, looking after your towels, toiletries, and all these things. So it's like a package.
It is. See, I've seen 15 to 17%. There are some companies who charge up to 25%. I don't want to mention the name. But I think 15 to 17%, a strong company like Frank Porter or ones that he suggested. I've used, I think, 2 companies throughout. I think Frank Porter and AirDXP. Then I've used some private hosts, like individuals who have 3 to 4 properties. They give a lot of personalized service. I like that aspect to it. If you adopt these strategies, but then you're stress-free. If you have a company like that, you just buy a property, give it to a nice operator. It's like running your own hotel. Then how to actually create your own portfolio of properties, like owning a small building or a couple of apartments. So this is something I've explained to some of my investors. Create your own signature. Like, for example, I don't know, have you seen this company called Blue Ground?
No, I haven't.
I love their business model. So if you look at Blue Ground, every apartment looks very similar. They import all their furniture from Turkey and they've created a brand. And so what happens is, if you go to a Blue Ground apartment, you'd receive certain kind of services, a service standard. It's like if I go to the Hilton or if I go to the Marriott, if I go to the address, I expect a certain standard of service, right? So there are some people who have created that signature, because if I randomly go to an Airbnb, I'm a little stressed, right? I don't know how it's going to turn out. But imagine someone who wants to build an Airbnb portfolio over time. All his apartments have a very signature outlook, right? Similar colored furniture, walls. Like, for example, the wall looks pretty much, actually blue ground, the wall looks very similar. Beige couch. I mean, a contemporary style design.
Yeah.
Every apartment you use a similar design, and the service standard should be the same. Like, it should just, so in Blue Ground's case, there's an app. You enter the apartment, just download the app. So even if I need a maintenance thing, I just message in the app and the job is done. So small things like these, I think, take a long way. So 17% charges, service charges if you include. Rest, we can probably give you a breakdown if you schedule a call with Asad. I think he can give you a further breakdown on what the costs would be, and then I think net we can achieve 8 to 10%.
We should be able to, 8% is
on an average, but I think if you work on a really good deal, you can actually spike that up. And then if you invest in a location like Dubai Creek Harbour, that value increases every year.
Exactly, and you don't have to worry about it.
And you feel very safe.
Yep.
You covered a lot. I think I spoke a lot. Did I speak too much?
No, fine. I think it's a very engaging conversation. It was actually started becoming very engaging.
Right, it became intense in between. I felt the pressure, in between, because it was good. Any points you think we missed out?
Yeah, for next time when we come to commercials, I'd like to add. For up till now, the last report was published in Q3 2024, and up till 2024, Dubai's commercial market is at 23 billion.
Okay.
Compared to last year, a bit lower, but since May, June, July, August were a slower period, so hopefully they'll be closing at way better than 2023. And we can 2 months. Last month I saw news of Emaar Square building number 3 sold out for 585 million. 585 million. I didn't expect the whole building sold out. You can check. Imagine the demand. And see, I went to meet one of my investors from Japan, and I was talking about this building in Creek Harbour, and he's like, so hey, I'm looking for plots. I have a Japanese hedge fund who wants to buy a plot anywhere around 200 to 300 million dirhams. Help me out. And I'm like, okay, but I need prime. I think we should do that for the next. Absolutely.
We'll do that for the next.
I love the idea of working with the hedge funds. The way they work, they're basically getting the investors' money and getting invested into real estate, I would say, developments, and that's how they work. We should do a different...
So in the next, when you do an episode on commercial, what you can expect is we have some very lucrative investments on the Palm, near the casino, Dubai Creek Harbour. We have a whole building for sale. I think the price would be anywhere between 350 and 400 million. So how does that work? And then we have plots. We'll talk about plots as well. So what is the difference between plot? Let's say in JVC, probably you can get a G+16 for around 25 million. What are the price per square foot? What are the cost of construction for developing a property? So we'll sort of get into such details on the episode on commercial real estate. But I think today was a very informative, powerful session on Airbnb. If you have any questions, any doubts, feel free to ask. Hit the like, share, subscribe button. And anything else? Have I missed anything else?
That's about it.
That's about it. Thank you so much, guys, for all the love and support. I think people loved Asad's video. I'm very happy about that. That's the goal, to have
thank you so much.
Wonderful consultants like himself.